verdad. Si tú eres hombres hispanos, negros o indio nativo, tú eres Israel, el pueblo elegido de Dios. Tu madre y tu padre dicen que somos un culto y mantienen su iglesia sin culpa, pero su iglesia es culpable de todo lo que nos están pasando. All right, let's get it on now. I'll take your questions right. I'll take your questions, please. Por favor. Let me get the warrior. You got people with us right here?
No, sir.
Let me run them down first, then I get to you, warrior, all right? You got it.
We got Montreal in here with us.
Montreal, give Montreal a hand. Go ahead.
ISUPK Florida is in the building.
ISUPK Florida, give him a hand.
We got Trinidad here with us.
Trinidad, give them a hand.
And Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, all right, Milwaukee. Good to see you, warrior. You ready to rock? Let me get Harlem first with the question. You got it,
Shalom, gentlemen.
Please, warrior. Please, good to see you. Shalom.
I'll let the general break down on Romans 4, chapter 6 through 7.
No problem.
Romans chapter 4, verse 6. Even as David also described the blessedness of the man, unto whom God imputed righteousness without works.
Let me catch up with you 1 second. Where are you at again?
Romans chapter 4, verse 6.
Romans 4 and 6. Stand by. Romans 4 and 6. All right, go ahead.
Come. Verse 6. Even as David also described the blessedness of the man, unto whom God imputed righteousness without works.
Keep going.
Verse 7. Saying, blessed are those whose iniquities are forgiven.
All right.
Are forgiven.
All right.
Are forgiven.
What is this about? David spoke about the man whose righteousness was accounted unto him without works. And how was his righteousness accounted to him without works? He was forgiven for his unrighteousness. Why is Paul bringing this up? Because this is what Jesus Christ has afforded you and I. The Christian church uses precepts like this to say it is not unrighteous to sin. This precept is saying it absolutely is unrighteous to sin. That's why you need, it's right in front of you, same brother,
Forgiveness.
forgiveness. If it was not wrong, why would you need to be forgiven for it? Do you understand? The only way you need to be forgiven for a thing is if that thing is
Forgiven.
Is the only way you need to be forgiven for anything is if that thing that you've done is wrong. Do you understand? David spoke about this because David did some things that were wrong, and he was forgiven for them. Why was he forgiven? Because he asked the Most High God to forgive him, and he asked the Lord to give him another chance. That's why God says. That's why Paul is bringing this up, because here we are, men who cannot. The Lord can never look at our works and say we're righteous based on our work, because our work is
Wrong.
unrighteous. That's correct. And because our work is unrighteous, we need to be forgiven. That's it. That's the whole game right there. Now, how do you get forgiven? This is right in the Bible. If you want forgiveness, what do you have to do?
Repent.
Give him a hand. That's it. That's the Bible, young warrior. This is what you just explained. Theologians and preachers and Catholic priests do not understand. They believe that Jesus Christ died, so now because he died, it is right to eat pork. It's right to eat shrimp. It's right to molest children. It's right to murder. It's right to break the Sabbath by forcing people to go to work on a day that God gave them to have to themselves. They believe those things are right now. David is saying that they're wrong, and if you've done them, you need forgiveness for it. Paul is bringing that up because he's teaching about Jesus Christ, to say our works are unrighteous. And David said, blessed is he that have gotten forgiveness for his unrighteous works. That's you and I. The Catholics believe that nothing is unrighteous. Do you understand? The Christians believe that nothing is unrighteous. I'm going to read it from the top and then you read it again. Go ahead.
Come. Romans chapter 4, verse 6.
Like it, sir.
Please.
If I may, Adawan, can you break it down from verse 4, Baba Bishop?
No sweat.
The one, sir.
Verse 4. Now to him that worketh is the reward not reckoned of grace.
Now to him that worketh is the reward not reckoned of grace. Is that what you just said?
Come.
Keep going.
But of debt.
But of what?
But of debt.
Meaning what? Let's say you never committed any sins. Let's say you kept the commandments your entire life and you never did anything wrong. Then God would owe you a blessing. You understand? He would owe it to you. Why? Because you could look at him and say, well, Lord, I kept every commandment. I never broke any of your laws. You said if a man does not break your law, he will receive a blessing. Let's have it, Lord. Lord, you owe me that blessing because I kept my end of this agreement. Then the blessing that you would get from God would be what God owes you. It would be what, Levi?
A debt.
It would be a debt. Continue.
Verse 5. But to him that worketh not.
But if you've broken the deal, if you have had a Christmas tree in your house, if you've been to church, if you celebrated your birthday, if you have eaten pork or shrimp, or out there in Trinidad, I think y'all eat mongoose out there. Ask them about that, Levi. Out there, you know what a mongoose is? That's a possum up here. It's a and they eat, what else? What's that green thing that's iguana? They out there eating iguana and possum, and guess what you brothers up here are doing? Eating pigs. How vile are you? You eat a pig. A pig is a dog, basically. That's it. It's a possum, and a pig is a dog. It's so close to a dog. I mean, I don't know how different it is than a dog. It's a dog, and you eat pigs constantly. It's disgusting. Well, if someone has done all those things, keep going.
But believe it on him.
But what?
But believe it on him.
How could you prove that you believe on him if you've eaten pork and eaten shrimp and murdered and committed crimes? How would you prove that? It's in the Bible. How could you prove what you believe? Come on, Warren.
By repenting and not...
Give him a hand. That's it. So I am a sinner that believes on him. I'm a person who has done everything that God said not to do in his law. But I believe in him. So now I am changing. I am amending my ways. That's in the Bible, young brothers. Right? I am repentant. Though my sins be as scarlet, yes, I shall be washed with hyssop. I will cleanse myself of what I've done, and I will change. Go and sin no more. That's how you prove that you believe, even though you are a woman that committed adultery. You will leave from that judgment where you were forgiven, and you will never do it again. That proves that you believe. You understand? These are precepts I'm just quoting to you, all right? All right, please, go ahead.
Come. But believe it on him that justifieth the ungodly.
That does what?
Justifieth the ungodly.
Him who justifies the ungodly. How does the Most High God justify the ungodly? How does he justify? Do you know what the word justify means? Why don't we look it up for a taste, all right? Let's look it up first. That's probably more fun, right? Whenever you're ready. Gracias for the drink, boy. Go on.
Justified. Number one, having done for or marked by a good or legitimate reason. Number two, declared or made righteous in the sight of God.
Read the first one.
Having done for or marked by a good or legitimate reason.
That's the definition. That one. The Most High God has taken the unrighteous, who I am chief among, and has decided to look at my works and to forgive me for what I've done. That's it. To look at me, to look at it and say, well, listen, he repented. He's changed. He's committed his life to being a different person. So now I will justify him. I will forgive him. This is the New Testament and the Old Testament. This is all over the place. This is Jeremiah 31 and 31. This is 2 Kings 8, 2 Kings 12. This is, if my people who I have cast away will bethink themselves and change their ways, I will accept them. This is how God justifies the ungodly. He takes sinners of his people and gives them another chance if they change, which is why Jesus Christ died, to facilitate that change. When I say facilitate, I mean to teach you how to change. Good to go? Keep going. Let me know if my sound is all right? Give me a 1W if you can hear my sound, all right? Well, good to go? Fuwala. Go ahead.
Come. His faith is counted for righteousness.
His what?
His faith is counted for righteousness.
And that's what you need, because Paul said this. Paul wrote the book of Romans, and Paul said, faith without works is dead. Show me thy faith without works. I will show you my faith with works. You can't show anyone what you believe in without doing it. That's once again the doctrine of the Christian church. Everyone believes in God. Ask Donald Trump if he believes in God. Ask him. Donald Trump just today set up a federal agency to protect Christians. It happened today. And he's going to stop anyone from harassing Christians, which is absolutely illegal in the Constitution to have any religious-based anything. America is not supposed to have a religion that it supports. That's in the Constitution. Donald Trump today decided to absolutely support Christians and to make sure Christians are protected from everyone else. He believes in Christianity. That's why he set up that government agency today. And Donald Trump is a felon and a rapist. And he went to Jeffrey Epstein's island and danced with him. But does he believe in God? Absolutely he does, if you ask him. If you ask him, he'll say yes. See, faith is easy to say you have it, but it's far harder to prove you have it. Faith without works is dead. Without doing something, you don't have any faith. You understand? We know we have faith because we have repented. We keep the commandments. That's the proof that we have faith. We didn't believe in God before, right? And we were unrighteous. But then we changed, and now our faith has proved that we deserve a second chance. Keep going.
Come. Verse 6. Even as David also described the blessedness of the man, unto whom God imputed righteousness without works. Verse 7.
Put that down. You remember that, right? Keep going.
Verse 7. Saying, blessed are those whose iniquities are forgiven, and whose sins are covered.
You understand that, correct?
Come.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Levi.
Real quick, Adawan. In verse 6, David is the blessed man.
David is a blessed man who committed many sins. You know, he slept with that brother's wife and then set him up to be murdered. That's correct. He paid for it, but he didn't lose his life. Keep going.
Verse 8. Blessed is the man to whom the Lord will not impute sin. Verse 9.
What does it mean to impute sin? Say, young brother up front. What does that mean? Punish. That's it. You're blessed if God did not punish you for your sin. That's a great blessing. Because the punishment for sin means you don't get a chance to do it better. You die. You don't get another chance. You committed a sin, you're dead. They said, Lord, behold, we have caught this woman in the very act. What should we do with her? Waiting for him to say, let her go free, so they could stone Christ. Because that would be against the law to say, let her go free. Because the law of Moses says to stone her until she be dead. Jesus Christ said, yet let he among you who was without sin cast the first stone. Then their hypocrisy convicted them. Because they were about to kill a woman for doing the same thing they do. And they realized that. And they dropped their stones and left. And then he said, woman, where are your accusers? And she said, they have gone, my Lord. And he said, then I will not accuse thee either. Go and sin no more. That's the game. That's the whole thing. She's an unrighteous woman, wicked as she could be. You know she was a whore. They caught the man on top of her. Ain't no question whether or not she did it, she did it. She still didn't die. Blessed is the man whose sin is not imputed upon him, meaning she didn't get stoned. Her obligation is to live a life better after that day. Do you understand? Keep going.
Verse 9. Cometh this blessedness then upon the circumcision only.
Cometh this blessing upon the circumcision only? Who are the circumcision at this time? Who knows? Let me tell you, the circumcision are the people raised in Israel. Raised in, not Israel, raised in Jerusalem. Raised in a land where the common everyday person kept the law. That's what it was like living in Jerusalem at that time. They had the Levites, they had the priests who would stone people if they were caught in the act of adultery, who would stone people if they were not keeping the commandments of God, and they made sure that every male child was circumcised on the 8th day. And if he wasn't, he was kicked out. Him and his family had to be ostracized. They couldn't come into the temple. They couldn't live in Jerusalem. They had to leave. They became outcasts because they did not circumcise their son on the 8th day of his birth. Now, does this grace, is this only for the people who have been circumcised? Or can the brothers and sisters who live in Rome have the same benefits? Can the brothers and sisters who live in Galatia have the same benefit you do? You commit sins and don't get killed. That's why you drop your stones. Because you commit sin all the time and you don't get killed. Jesus Christ said you have omitted the weightier matters of the law. You take tithe of cumin and cinnamon and anise, but you omit the weighty matters of the law, justice and righteousness. That you throw away. In doing so, you have punished and killed the innocent. That's what you've done. Sadducee and Pharisee, they didn't get killed when they sinned. So
Right.
why do the people in Rome have to get killed because they were sinners?
Right.
Why can't they have a second chance the way you take a second chance? That's the point. Read it one more time from the circumcision.
Verse 9. Cometh this blessedness then upon the circumcision only, or upon the uncircumcision also.
Can we do it too? Can the brothers who live in Rome, can't they do the same thing you're doing in Jerusalem? Or is this only for the people who have been circumcised? If so, you don't understand circumcision. You know, the IUIC teaches that you have to be physically circumcised. Bob just sent me the tape. They teach that you have to be physically circumcised in there. Someone that is saying that, is claiming to be in an Israelite group, is absolutely as ignorant of the law as Donald Trump is of morality. They're absolutely ignorant. Continue.
For we say that faith was reckoned to Abraham for righteousness.
So, for we say that faith was reckoned to Abraham for righteousness. Meaning Abraham was around way before Moses. There was no law of Moses, so how do you determine if Abraham was righteous when there was no law? How do you even call Abraham righteous when there was no law to judge him by? Now we have the law of Moses, and you're judging everyone by their law and killing people that you should not be killing because you don't understand the law. So then how was Abraham righteous? His faith made him righteous. Before the law, how did Abraham show you his faith? Same brother.
You want to sacrifice Isaac?
Why would he sacrifice Isaac?
Because God told him to.
So how do you show your faith?
By action.
You right there. You just say the same thing. Abraham was around before the law. You know Abraham had faith because Abraham went to kill his son because God told him to. So here we are in Rome, in New York, in Trinidad, in Wisconsin, in Canada. How do we prove our righteousness? By, say brother,
Keeping the commandments.
by doing what God told us to do. It's here telling you to keep the law. It's right here. It's right in front of you. He's bringing up Abraham because Abraham is famous for obeying God even in the extreme. And he did that without Moses, without stonings. If Abraham didn't kill his son, what would have happened? If he said, no, I'm not killing my son, what would have happened? Now just think logically. If he did not kill his son, How about this? If you ate pork in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago, what would have happened?
You'll be put to death.
If you were caught committing adultery in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago, what would have happened?
You'll be put to death.
If Abraham said, "No, Lord, I am not sacrificing my son," what would have happened?
You would have been, God would have put him to death.
How? Who would have done it? Was there some law saying that if you don't obey the voice of God, you die? No, there was no law that said that. There is a law saying if you eat pork, you die. If you commit adultery, you die. If you're a sodomite, you die. That's a law. Who gave us that law? Moses. Abraham was told to sacrifice his son. Is there some law that says you have to sacrifice your son or you get stoned?
Nah.
No, there's not. What would have happened to Abraham if he did not sacrifice his son? It's right in front of you. You just gotta break free. It's right there. It's clear, and you know why you got killed if you ate pork or committed adultery, because the law of Moses says it. Abraham was around before the law of Moses and went to kill his son because he was told to. Now I'm just asking you, if he didn't do it, is there some priest that would have dragged him out and stoned him?
Nah.
Is there some Sadducee and Pharisee that would have, stabbed him or kicked him out or ostracized him or threw him out the city?
Nah.
So what would have happened if he would have not obeyed God and went to sacrifice his son? Just logic. Let the brother try. Go ahead.
You would have been unrighteousness in the eyes of God.
What would have happened to him? That's how you break through. It's right there. I gotta pass it on you in a second, but it's right there in front of you. Can I make it more simple for you? If you walk out this door and you go eat pork, or you go get a prostitute, what's going to happen to you?
I could get an STD.
You could. There's everyone. There's a lot of people having sex with whores in Harlem tonight. Right? If you go down the street, you get a bacon and egg sandwich. Right? What would happen to you? Have you committed sins in the past before you went to school?
Constant.
Did someone stone you?
Nah, sir.
What would happen if you did it again?
There will be no forgiveness from God.
You're on it, but you're not you're not staying in the topic with me. You're right, but you're not just staying in the topic. Let me let the young brother right here answer. You want to give it a shout out? Go ahead.
Oh, God.
What would happen to you if you walked out the street and you went and got, what's that Puerto Rican pig that they love so much? Pernera? Pernera, right? If you went and got a pernera platter, if you went down to the Cuchi Fritos and went and got you the pig ears and the pig rice and the pig soda and the pig dessert that they sell in that Cuchi Frito, and I don't go in here to get anything because it's pig in the dessert, pig in the rice, pig in the popcorn, pig in everything. Pig in the drink. Right? So if you went down there and did that, what would happen to you?
You'd be unclean, sir.
What would happen to you?
Knowing that what you know, the Most High will be upset with you.
I'll ask you again. What would happen to you?
I'm not sure if he would kill you on the spot for that.
What would happen to you? That's all. It's right there. It's right there. You brothers are so righteous. I think that's too righteous. Like, Gucci Frito. What is he talking? It's pork and the napkins in there.
I don't think anything physically will happen to you, but you never know what the Most High will happen to you.
That's correct. Let me give you the answer so you can just understand Abraham. Nothing would happen. Nothing. Right? Nothing would happen. If Abraham did not kill his son, nothing would have happened. Because there were no Levites. There were no Sadducee and Pharisee. There was no Moses and nothing written that said you had to die if you don't kill your son. Nothing would have happened to Abraham. And Abraham still did it. You understand? That's faith. That's the real thing. If you can go get a ham sandwich, a pork sandwich, nothing would happen to you. Why aren't you getting it? You grew up eating it, didn't you? You grew up celebrating Christmas, right? So why didn't you celebrate it this year? What would have happened to you if you did celebrate Christmas this year, brother?
Nothing.
Nothing. So why didn't you do it?
If we have faith in Yahweh.
Give him a hand. That's the Bible. Just like Abraham. Just like him. We're not doing this because we're afraid of getting stoned. We're not doing this because there's some Sadducee that's going to kick in our door and kick us out of the country. We're doing this because we believe. You understand? Because we believe. That's faith. That's the real thing. You understand? That's why Paul is bringing up Abraham, because these brothers living in Rome, they don't have the Pharisee and the Sadducee, yet they do not eat pork. Yet they don't commit adultery. They believe in Rome. Now you cats living in Jerusalem, do you believe? I don't know. You might just be afraid of going to jail. You might just be afraid of getting stoned. These cats in Corinth, they keep the commandments, and there's nothing that's going to happen to them if they don't. And these cats believe. They got the faith of Abraham. You get the point, right? That's your answer. Levi?
Come on, sir.